Every gardener knows the challenge of working with what nature provides. And sometimes, nature provides us with a steep gravelly slope and free-draining sandy soil, which limits what plants will thrive. But with a bit of ingenuity and some careful construction, we can transform even the most reluctant hillside into a terraced raised bed and a haven for wildflowers. That's the common garden construction challenge we're tackling today, step by step. And so, welcome back to Blooming Slopes Gardens. For those joining us for the first time, it's lovely to have you with us. In our previous episode, we got to grips with the architectural side of things, laying out the design and figuring out the approach to anchoring a stable structure on this rather dynamic sandy hillside. Today, the pencils are down and the spades are out. Join me as we meticulously construct this brand new terraced raised bed, turning a potential sandy slide into a solid, beautiful foundation for our native Irish wildflower meadow. This is part 3 in our garden rewilding series, and I hope you pick up a useful tip or two for your own garden along the way. Firstly, let's talk about the materials we'll be using. We're using treated wooden beams similar to the ones in our main garden terracing. They're 2400 by 200 by 100 millimeters. We've designed our raised bed to be a neat 1200 by 1200 millimeter square, meaning each of our standard beams will yield 2 sides, helping to minimize wastage. To ensure our retaining walls are truly secure, we'll be using a combination of decking screws and bolts to give us a really solid join. And because of our sandy, unstable soil, we'll be using rebar stakes to really anchor those foundations into the ground. Finally, to give our native wildflowers the very best start and to keep those opportunistic weeds at bay, we'll be laying down weed membrane along the bottom. Right then, with the materials sorted, let's dig into the real work, the groundwork. The first step was to scrape away all the gravel to see what we were working with underneath. That's when we discovered our challenge. This part of the garden was pure sand, certainly great for drainage, especially in that spot. My first thought was that this wasn't going to work. We nearly threw in the towel, thinking we would not be able to build the planned small terraced raised bed on this soft, unstable surface at all. After a bit of a think, we realised that as the wall isn't that long, what would work would be to add a flat extra anchoring point at the base of the retaining wall in addition to the terraced side anchors. The project is back on track. Let me tell you, the preparation phase, digging out the hillside and getting it perfectly level, took quite a long time to get right. It's worth spending the time on this part of the build though. The walls need to be perfectly level. We dug out and leveled off the ground for the downhill retaining wall first. We spent the most amount of time getting this foundation right. The spirit level became our best friend. We tamped gravel into the sandy soil to make it more firm, and slow and steady wins the race. Once we had the foundation level and packed with gravel, it was time for our first real anchor. Driving rebar deep through the wooden beams and into that sandy hillside. Finally, our structure has some proper grip on this stubborn slope. The next step was to work on the side anchors. This part was always going to be a bit of trial and error. The trick is cutting into the hillside just enough without going too far and further destabilizing the hillside. So just enough to dig into the hillside and allow the wooden beams to lay flat against the downhill side beam. After measuring twice, we cut the wooden beams and bolted them to the downhill side foundation beam. More rebar secured them into the ground. With the foundation sorted, things started coming together nicely. With the second layer, we incorporated a crucial stability technique, overlapping the wooden beams so they resemble staggered Lego bricks. This significantly increases the structural integrity and resistance to outward pressure. As with the ground layer, the side anchors were determined by laying the level beams on top of each other and digging a grip into the hillside just at the right level, Again, the spirit level was the handiest tool to get this right. Once we knew what the length of the beam needed to be to sit into the hillside, then we would cut it and bolt them together. It was definitely a case of measure 10 times, cut once. Or as it turns out, measure 10 times, cut, then measure again and cut some more. Once all the layers were assembled and bolted into place, we joined the layers together with plenty of decking screws. With the structure complete, we moved to the interior work. We lined the walls with recycled plastic, old compost bags, and other garden sacks work perfectly. It's a neat trick that keeps the walls dry and stops soil washing through any gaps. For the bottom, we laid down a weed membrane to stop any stubborn brambles or other unwanted weeds from growing up through our soon-to-be wildflower haven. Finally, we filled the bed. We diligently reused all the soil we excavated, but gave it a nutrient boost by mixing in plenty of fresh compost. This creates the perfect growing medium for our wildflowers while still leveraging the natural sandy drainage of the area. And there you have it. From a steep gravelly slope to what I'm genuinely excited to call our future wildflower haven. I'll be honest, there was way more engineering than I expected when we started. But you know what? Sometimes the tricky projects are the most rewarding. Next up in our Rewilding series, the real fun begins. We'll be setting up the A/B planting trials, pitting two native Irish wildflower mixes against each other. A coastal wildflower mix versus a regular wildflower mix. And I genuinely have no idea which one's going to win. I mean, I have my hypothesis, but nature has a funny way of surprising us, doesn't it? I'll also be getting into those environmental factors that could tip the scales. Our relentless coastal winds, how the light moves across this space, and those all-important sandy soil conditions. Our goal? To discover which wildflower mix will truly thrive here. But here's what I'm really curious about. Have you wrestled with slope challenges in your own garden? Because I'm betting some of you have tried solutions I haven't even thought of. Share your stories and tips in the comments. I genuinely love hearing how you've tackled these kinds of challenges. And look, if you're as curious as I am about this whole rewilding experiment and how it plays out, definitely subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on an episode. Thanks for sticking with me through all the construction chaos. See you next time when we finally get to play in the dirt. And for now, so long and happy gardening.